such big fans. And not only is it a collab album, but it's songs that we all grew up listening to, and, current songs as well. So tell our listeners about Seasons.
Yeah, it's funny because I think sometimes when you say you're doing a covers record, it almost can be discounted a little bit. Like, oh, they have to fulfill their record contract, or they're doing something to get them, to hold people over from like this last record to the next real record. And this is not that for me. This is probably going to go down as like my favorite record I've ever made. And one, it is because I'm such a fan of Christian music, like truly a fan. I still geek out going to any awards show where I get to hear people perform. I'm still a fan, and I still listen to Christian radio, and I still love it. And I get sad when people have to be a little bit too cool to admit that,
Yeah.
To me, it's everything. So this is like my favorite record I've ever made. And really the inspiration for it came back in the lockdown of 2020. My husband and I started doing songs on Instagram and Facebook or whatever, just to try to keep from losing our own minds. And and we called it A Song a Day Keeps the Crazies Away. And we kind of thought, oh, this might minister to some people. We could never have prepared ourselves that, like, I think the last count was 76 million people watched those videos or something insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for us, that was like, it not only was just a kind of a sign that people were really connecting with this, but I did some of my own songs on those for sure. But what I really did is I went back and I just started performing songs that I loved from my childhood, from college, or from current radio, or from whatever, and just kind of doing it the way I would do it. And people seemed to really connect with that. And I really loved it. And that's really where the inspiration came from. And it really was for also like my kids and a generation of artists who are kids, and saying I love, like, God's always doing a new thing. He's always moving us forward. But there is something really powerful and important to honor by looking back and seeing what has come before and what has been done, and songs that maybe got put on a shelf that never should have been. And like, we did We Will Stand by Russ Taff, and all of those artists, with the exception of Kane, and that's because their parents have done the job of educating them on Christian music. Right. They grew up on it. Right? But all the other artists, not to diss on them, but because they're young and they didn't know, they came into the studio and they were like, you guys have like written a song that sounds so retro, and it is awesome. And we were like, it is retro. It's from
There's a reason for that.
Or like Another Time, Another Place, which for me, Sandy Patty and Wayne Watson, or Sandy Patty and Larnell Harris, they were like the Celine Dion and Peebo Bryson.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were like the classic 90s duets. You listen to that and it sounds like a Disney movie. And like, I realized I did it with Jonathan McReynolds, and he was born the year that song came out.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad you did that.
Sandy Patty and Mark Lowry, another good from the 90s, It's funny